kind of half tempted to retreat right away and just rebuild and see what's going to happen then, because obviously we are technically the engineer, I think. Aren't we? Aren't we the engineer? I think we are the engineer of our forces, so me having no HP is going to make a... yeah, I might as well just die. There we go. Hello Reformers, and welcome back to Warband Native. And when we left off, we actually were laying siege to River Chegg, which is actually one of the last, if not the last, I think it might be the last Vaegier fief that they have in their control. And this is going to be a pretty hard one, because obviously it is a siege tower. I don't know why I say obviously about that, but it just would be, wouldn't it? You know, it's one of those things that always seems to happen to me, where there seems to always be some extremely difficult obstacle in the last little stretch of this marathon of taking out the Vaegiers. Anyway, as you can see here, we can now lead our soldiers in an assault. I already built the siege tower fantastically enough, and we're now going to go up against a huge amount of marksmen, which is really not going to be very pleasant, is it? Certainly not. Wow, that guy took a 21 damage headshot. That's pretty crazy. That is pretty crazy. I'm very surprised that he was able to actually survive that, but I guess that's just because he has a great helmet. Absolutely fantastic helmet. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and eliminate any of the marksmen that I can see here. I can see someone is shooting from over there, but I can't quite see them at the moment. Ah, a Kurgid horseman. Interesting. Okay, well, maybe if they have a couple more of those and a couple less of the Vaegier marksmen, we might actually be in with a reasonable chance, I guess, of actually getting onto the battlements without losing too many units. Now, the one mistake that I actually made previously in this siege attempt, because we have tried this before in the previous episode, we did pretty well, actually, all things considered, but the one mistake I made, among dying, obviously, was the fact that I used all of my arrows, and also I'm now getting hit by fantastic aim, apparently. Anyway, yeah, I used all my arrows, and I was unable to basically counterattack against any of these archers, and that was really, really bad. So let's see if I can actually do a little bit of something here to maybe thin out the amount of units that are actually attacking us from range here, because obviously that's really going to make a huge difference to our overall survivability, and I think hopefully we'll be able to continue doing that. As you can see, we're actually not doing too badly in that regard so far. But I am very, very close to being pushed off this siege tower bridge, and that happens. That happens all the time to me. So we might have to stick around here a little bit. I'm actually kind of surprised that we have such a... Yes, I think I know exactly what the issue is here. Alright, so there you go. Reinforcements have arrived, and new enemies have arrived as well. I thought it was very, very strange that we only had, what? Yeah, a very small amount of people on the battlefield here, because my battle size should be 150, and I should be able to field at least 60 units on the battlefield here without any worries whatsoever. As you can see, we're receiving more reinforcements now, and we have exactly what we need to hopefully be able to penetrate their defenses and everything like that. Unfortunately, our guys just did not move in quick enough. They really did not move in quick enough to actually get any kind of advantage with the lax defense that the opposition had for a little bit of time right there. I don't know whether you saw that, but they actually moved away from the bottleneck, and that would have been fantastic. A really, really good opportunity for us, but they decided not to capitalize on it. And, well, I can't force them, can I? Can't force them to go in there. They just have to do their own thing and try their best in, you know, all facets of our our offense here, and I'm a bit worried about this, actually. I like to kill this guy if at all possible, because he's going to be very annoying to us, you know. Vaegier archers, while they may not be Vaegier marksmen, they are still going to be deadly enough to actually deal enough damage to take you out when you are being a little, you know, a little bit unwary, I guess you could say. And once again, I'm taking those very, very small bits of damage which I should probably not do, so I'm going to try and be a little bit more careful with when I decide to attack and everything. But obviously these guys, you think to yourself, when you're in my position, you're, you know, running around with a pretty heavily armored, you know, decently geared character, you're always like, yes, these guys cannot deal that much damage to me, so I don't mind taking a couple of hits. And then those couple of hits turns into like 50 hits of 2 damage, and you're gonna die from that. You're gonna die from that, so it's, yeah, pretty bad. Anyway, oh, that's also bad. Yeah, I was actually unaware that the guy was going to move in such an erratic manner. Hopefully they're going to work on that a little bit, because him moving around like that is not particularly realistic, I guess. Well, whatever the case, I took 15 damage, which is not great. Yeah. I took another 3 damage there as well. That's great. Okay, well, I guess what I can do is maybe just get out my bow here and do a little bit of damage to the fellows that actually don't have shields. Because that's the cool thing about the Vagirs. They generally don't tend, at least, to carry that many shields on most of their units. So it's very easy for us to take them out. Now, unfortunately, I don't know whether they actually drop... Do they drop quivers? I don't think they drop quivers in native. I think they might drop quivers in Pendor, and I think maybe in a couple of mods, but it doesn't look like they are dropping quivers, so I might have to just pick up things individually or something like that. But yeah, it's kind of bad for archers that actually get on the battlements here to try and restock their ammunition. It's not going to happen, is it? It's not going to happen, but we might be able to penetrate their defenses even so, just by helping out a little bit with my axe here. But bear in mind that if I take, I think probably one more hit is going to kill me. One more hit is probably going to kill me, so I do need to be that much more aware of what's going on. So let's be careful. Let's be very careful indeed. I'm actually just going to move around here, and I'm a bit worried about the archers. That's exactly the reason why I'm going to try and use the battlements to my advantage. It's very annoying when they do this, isn't it? Oh, thank you very much, archer. Good work. Can you shoot this one as well? No? Yes? No? Okay, he doesn't want to, by the looks of things. Oh, well, never mind. He actually helped me a great deal right there. I was really thinking I was dead. When that kind of thing happens, when they get, you know, the 2 versus 1, the 3 versus 1 on you, and you're like really low in HP, it can be dire situation. Absolutely dire situation, and it's a fantastic thing to have an archer show up and be like, yes, I've got your back. I've got your back, my liege. And then I die. Oh, well, never mind. There you go. Well, we actually did pretty reasonably considering everything. Although my allies are losing massive amounts of units. I mean, that's the thing. We did... Look at that. We actually took out 183. That's a decent amount. That is nothing to be ashamed of. That's really nice. So, I guess what we're going to do is we're just going to rebuild that siege tower. There's another vassal coming in here to lend his assistance. Isn't that fantastic? Yeah, and the other guy that only had about 42 units or so left after this absolute ordeal at Riverchegg has gone away to reinforce his ranks and come back, hopefully, at some point in the future and help us out again. Now, there you go. Yes, Riverchegg is the only one that we need to take, and then we are left all alone with the Nightmare faction, which, of course, by that I mean the Rhodoks. They are very, very hard to dislodge from their battlements, from basically anywhere, because they are literally... in my opinion, probably the quintessential defensive faction. They have great infantry when it comes to defense. They have good enough armor, great shields, good amounts of spearmen as well, because obviously they're going to be able to defend against cavalry. And, you know, that's obviously exactly what they need, because I don't think they actually come with cavalry. If I can recall correctly, they don't really have any cavalry, so, you know... if they're going to go up against the Swadians or go up against the Saranids or obviously the Kurgits, you know, they have... I mean, the Vagirs also have cavalry. I don't think I've ever seen a Rhodok Knight. Have I? Have I seen a Rhodok Knight? I don't think so. But maybe I'm I don't know, maybe there's some rare unit somewhere or other that is actually around that is actually a knight. But anyway, the point is that they're very good at what they do when it comes to defense. Their crossbowmen are going to be very, very good at ammo conservation. And when you're in a defensive situation, if you don't have like unlimited ammo or anything like that, then you definitely are going to need those crossbowmen shooting a little bit slower. You know, you don't need them to shoot extremely slow, obviously, you know, because you're not going to have a very good time against archers like the Vaegirs or anything like that. But in a long, drawn-out battle, in terms of a siege perhaps, or maybe a large field battle against a liege or many, many vassals, then you are certainly going to need those crossbowmen to savor their ammunition, because if you have Vaegir archers or Saranids or something like that, they're going to run through their quivers very, very fast, and while that may be extremely effective at eliminating units fast, if there are more of them, and many of them, then you're going to have a bit of a difficulty there. So the Rhodoks in general are very good at their defense, and it's kind of bad that we left them again until the last. Yeah. Well, in the previous nostalgic native series that I created way back, we left the Rhodoks again. So it is, yeah, not great, not great. And back then I was like, yes, we are not wanting to go in against these guys because they literally have amazing amounts of crossbowmen and they're really, really damaging, and we didn't want to deal with them. And it just so happens that I did exactly the same thing here, and I was like, no, I don't want to deal with these guys again, or you know, or ever. And you know, if I could offer them, you know, like amnesty, or I could offer them like some kind of alliance, or maybe they could merge with the Kingdom of Reformia, then I'd offer that. And then maybe they could be absorbed into the Kingdom of Reformia and they'd retain all of their fiefs and all that sort of stuff. And I think that would be pretty fantastic, because that would mean that I wouldn't have to fight them, and that would be fantastic. Because yeah, I'm pretty much dreading it. Because if you think that fighting against the Vaegirs with their Vaegir marksmen and their very fast firing damage is bad, then just wait until we get to the Rhodoks. I mean, you've seen that. I think we actually did attempt to take, I think it was a while ago now, but we did attempt to take Grunwalder Castle, as far as I'm aware, and right there was the pinnacle of a fantastic example, basically, of how good the Rhodoks can be when it comes to defense. I think we went in with about 200 units. I think I had a vassal actually helping me out at the time, or we went in with some pretty high tier units of my own, if we didn't have a vassal at the time. Can't quite remember what was going on exactly about that, but anyway, we went in, and I think they lost a total of like 30 units out of 200 or so, and we lost a lot more than that, obviously, and that was not great. That's pretty awful. And speaking of pretty awful, I am now fighting a whole bunch of Vaegir guards, and they're not great to fight against because they do tend to come with two-handed weapons, and that's pretty harsh, because if they hit you, they're going to do a lot of damage. And we do have Vaegir infantry and some horsemen as well, but thankfully I haven't been killed yet. I'm actually kind of surprised that I haven't been killed yet, because, well, I am being shot at, as you can see. I am actually being shot at. I just took 11 damage. We might have some issues here. Can we... Could we actually just, like, get through to the battlements here? Yeah. This is one of the main problems that I think needs to be looked at severely when it comes to future iterations. And, yeah, I don't exactly know how to get in here. Oh, there we go. I did something that everyone in the medieval times used to do, and that is, of course, jump over men, you know, six feet in the air, just jump over them, and completely clear all of their weapons and not take any damage as a result, and then get in on the battlements and then be ignored by the rest of the enemy forces. Sounds good. There we go. Sounds like the way we want it. Anyway, there's actually a whole bunch of archers looking at me right now, so I don't necessarily know what I should do. Should I go back here and see if I can maybe find some arrows? There are a couple of arrows here. Don't know whether this is really going to help me out that much. But I guess we can only try, because I have such a sliver of HP that if I do get killed now, that me picking up those arrows was just a waste of time. So I don't exactly know, but I'd like to maybe eliminate some of these infantry if at all possible, because they are being very, very annoying. Am I hearing some arrows actually whiz past my head right now? Because if that isn't... Yes, I am hearing that. That's not good. They're going to hit me eventually. They are going to hit me eventually, so I guess I'm just going to use my melee weapon a little bit here. And see if I can maybe... Yes, come on, let's get... come on, guys. Yeah, could you... Yes, thank you. Phew. That was a bit worrying there for a second. I actually thought that our units were a bit stuck, because that can happen sometimes. I know that's happened to me in the Clash of Kings mod, where some castle layouts are so complex that the AI is unable to navigate them, and so it's it sometimes ends up that they are literally just stuck in place and they can't really move anywhere, and that obviously results in basically an automatic loss. So that's thankfully not the case here, and hopefully I'll be able to do a little bit of extra damage here. Yeah, there we go. Come on, can we get through, please? Yeah. It would have been nice for me to be a little bit quicker on the draw here, so that I could maybe get to the side and maybe do a little bit of side-swiping damage. That would be kind of nice, but as it stands, that doesn't seem to be the case at the moment. I'm not able to get into range. Unfortunately, my weapon is kind of a bit shorter reach than maybe what we'd like, because obviously it's an axe, and in general, if you're going to be using a sword, they are obviously going to be a lot longer, so... that would probably make a little bit more sense for sieges, but obviously I kind of like the axe, because it does tend to break shields very, very easily. We got taken out by that last guy, really? That was absolutely terrible. Well, never mind. But you could see there that we actually have a very nice advantage now. I actually don't think they have that many... They don't have that many remaining. 136 still? Are you serious? Oh well, never mind. I'm going to build another siege tower and I'll see you in there, I guess. Alright, so we're in here once again. I've actually been shooting a couple of people, getting some nice headshots. We do have to thin the ranks of the Vagier marksmen. You can see here that almost every single kill I'm making right now is a Vagier marksman, which is obviously not a very good sign, and we already know that there are about 50 of them still alive here, and that is just awful, just plain awful, and there's nothing I can say that is gonna change that really, because, well, they're right here, we got to deal with them, and that's exactly why I was hoping that we would not have so many difficulties getting in the battlements. Oh wow, really? Did I really take that much damage right now? You know, I'm half tempted literally just to retreat right now and then come back in, because this is not good. I mean, you can already see that, you know, we've lost about the same, maybe a little bit more than our enemies, but eventually they're gonna absolutely murder us because they just have so many marksmen. Kind of half tempted to retreat right away and just rebuild and see what's gonna happen then, because obviously we are technically the engineer, I think. Aren't we? Aren't we the engineer? I think we are the engineer of our forces, so me having no HP is going to make a... yeah, I might as well just die. There we go. Alright, so let's do that again, shall we? Yes, I think that in general, you kind of have a feeling about these things. If you play Warband, or if you've seen enough of it, then you will know that in certain situations, you're just going to be faced with something that is going to just let you know that maybe it's a better idea to restart in that particular situation. Like, for example, getting shot for 15 damage. Yes, that's always absolutely fantastic, and consistently getting shot as well. That's not annoying at all. Yeah, it is. Yes, and that's exactly also another thing that I find a little bit, yeah, maybe not unrealistic, but it's kind of a little bit frustrating when you're attempting to do a little bit of sniping here and there. The AI does tend to focus you a little bit, and especially considering native allows you not to continue when you die, you know? So your units cannot continue onward, everyone is forced to retreat, and then you have to restart the battle. Well, the only thing I can do now is continue to headshot marksmen as much as possible, and yeah, as I was saying, just being literally focused down by the AI, yeah, like this. Yeah, being focused down like that with literally poking my head out for 1 second, I don't know. I think that's a bit much, especially considering native is not including the diplomacy, you know, battle continuation submod, so obviously it's going to be a little bit worse to have that happen, but yeah, well, I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. I think in general we will be able to capture this, and it's just a case of us holding our resolve and just very much trying our best here. Oh yes, do bear in mind, I'm actually out of food right now. I'm actually out of food on the world map, so when I'm waiting to construct these 48-hour siege towers, which is how long it takes to construct a siege tower at the moment with Leselit's 7 engineering. We're not actually the engineer, it's Leselit that's the engineer. And yeah, so it takes us 48 hours. And in that time, obviously we're eating through a huge amount of food. And so technically I'd need to retreat, buy some food and come back. But obviously I really just wanted to get these Vagiers eliminated. But it is taking a little bit longer than I anticipated. Alright, so a little bit of a status update on what's currently been going on. I'm going to show you what's actually happening in Rivacheg in just a second, but I just want to let you know that I went down to basically our territory. Well, technically our territory is all around now, but I went down over to Nara and bought some food, because obviously we were out of food, and I also went around here trying to recruit as many Kurjit units as I could get my hands on, because they're generally the fastest to level up into their highest tier units. And then otherwise I made my way all the way back, bought some additional food along the way just to make sure I had enough. I obviously told my vassals a while ago to go away from, you know, the campaign, because I want them to replenish their ranks and everything. And then I came back to this. Yeah, it's not great, is it? 85 in the garrison of Rivacheg itself. That's not so bad. But the constantly respawning vassals, they're a bit of a problem, and it's kind of a... that's also something that I think needs to have a little bit of a change to it. Vassals being able to replenish their armies while staying inside a town. Personally, I don't think that doesn't sound... that's not very realistic, because the player has to go to villages to be able to do that. I mean, in some mods, yes, you can recruit a couple of people from a town, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it should be that they have to go to the villages and everything. And I've just literally been waiting here for a little bit of time just to make sure that all my forces are leveled up from trainer skill as much as they can be. And then these guys are just continuously respawning themselves. So what we're going to do is we're going to end this episode off here, and we're going to eliminate them once and for all in the next episode. I thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.